Why fathers need to be respected by society. A video from Christine Grace Smith. I've been checking her channel recently. As you can see, I'm still not subscribed to her, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't be subscribed to me. It means you should subscribe to me. Maybe then I'll follow her. The reason I still haven't followed her is because I haven't really dived into any of her videos. I only seen shorts. Plus, I've seen comments from other people, such like Pearl Davis, for example, and I think her format is also more of a reactive format, so it's going to be like a reaction to reaction. But we did this before. We did this before, definitely, with Jordan Peterson. It was an interview. It was a short interview, but although no, actually that was an interview. That was a reaction to reaction. I mean, Misha Petrov's videos are also about reacting to reaction. So I'm not going to be stopping on this for longer. The only thing I will point out is that if you're an older viewer of this channel, you 100% know what do I think about fathers. They are a lot of the times disrespected in society, and we need we need to embrace them more. So I genuinely believe society needs to embrace them more in the first place. Not the fathers themselves should be pushed. The fathers are good. They're doing their job, they're proud of it. But I think society should learn to appreciate it more. I think with that being said, let's check who this Christine Grace Smith, I apologize for not knowing the name, who this Christine Grace Smith actually is and how no, how not that how, but what opinions does she actually share?
Talked about the temperance movement. The founder of the temperance movement said, you know, the father is meant to be like the prototype of God in the family.
Yes.
And yet he's not there.
Absolutely. God, father, mother, children. Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Christine Grace, and today's another reaction video. Guys, like the video on your way in. Let's get straight into it. Today,
Hey, I'm doing this part. Don't cut me. Actually, I've just noticed from my screen that I have here how cool I look like on the side. So I'm on the left side, she's on the right side, gonna be reacting. But yeah, let's meet you, Christine. Let's see what you have to suggest.
Today we are looking at a discussion with Professor Nancy Percy. The conversation is surrounding why do we have such a low view of fathers. I think it's a really interesting topic, so
It's a very interesting topic, and I already said why.
straight into it.
Yeah, so one of the things I deal with is why is it that we have such a negative view of fathers? You know, in the media, fathers are regularly mocked and ridiculed, the butt of the joke. You know,
I think I did even a reaction on Brad Cooper where she also talked about fathers. I will have to add it here if I'm when I will be uploading the reaction on YouTube.
The Homer Simpson model.
Yeah.
You know, the father's always the dimwit dad. One of my sons really loved the Berenstain Bears, and I don't know if you've read those, but the father's always the doofus. You know, he's even the kids laugh at him and make fun of him. And so
yeah, which is super weird. Which is again super weird. Now I'm honored was probably the best father in the world. And I will tell you this, these TV shows that you get to watch, they actually make me sad. I'm not even like haha or negative, but genuinely sad. Because that's what eventually a lot of the society views fathers as. Either they're very bad and they left for to go buy milk and never came back, or they're viewed as a doofus. And that's sad. I mean, I hope to become a father once, and I don't want, for example, my children to watch that on TV or be seeing those images in society. No.
I think that's another thing we need to address is, you know, men are not going to be motivated to become fathers if fatherhood itself is not respected. You know,
That's actually a very interesting topic. I've never thought about this. That's like also very interesting. Like, what would be the motivation if they're gonna be mocked for their whole life by society?
it's not given accorded dignity and value. And so I asked why that happened. And again, we have to go back to the Industrial Revolution, because when fathers were taken out of the home, you know, for the first time, they were no longer there as fathers. For the first time, boys were growing up without close relationships and supervision by their fathers. Yeah, we're so used to it now that we don't realize, again, you have to go back to the 19th century and read the literature. They were shocked. They were shocked that fathers were no longer there. The leading psychologist of the 19th century said, our boys are growing up half orphaned, because
I mean, that is a very interesting investigation from the 19th century. Man, maybe I should read some of those works. Can actually explain some problems of 2024.
the fathers are not there day in and day out. Or you find other people, Parents Magazine back then said, the greatest source of domestic sorrow these days is that fathers can't be home with their kids anymore. And we talked about the temperance movement. The founder of the temperance movement said, you know, the father is meant to be like the prototype of God in the family, and yet he's not there from
Absolutely. God, father, mother, children.
Sunday to Sunday.
I mean, she said at the beginning. Will I agree with that? I mean, like, a father is a hero. You know, a mother is also a hero, but I don't know. It's complicated. It's very complicated. I don't know if I would really categorize in that way, but there are, so to say, places, and in most of them, this could fit. I'm not sure how you could put it in every case, but in most cases, most family cases, probably, when you're talking about responsibility uh and how do I say this correctly? Responsibility and I don't know, some sort of, I can't even say respect because it's gonna sound wrong. Ah, yeah, I'll try to come up with this later.
So at the time, it was a great shock that men were no longer closely connected to their sons. And so I do have a whole chapter in the book giving practical, you have to give some practical solutions as well. And so I talk about ways in which men have worked to flex the workplace a bit, be home more. And the pandemic was actually a game changer because a lot of fathers discovered they actually liked being closer to their kids.
Of course. Of course, and that's one of the things that I think a lot of these TV shows, for example, they kind of forget to show. They actually build a big problem around it when then later turns out that, well, the father, he's not spending enough time with his kids, and that's why the kid gets so distanced from them. Well, like, in reality, maybe that is the case, but the thing is that fathers really love being with children. Like, I've seen children and fathers. Believe me, it's one of the sweetest relationships you will ever find. Now, we always talk about mother's love, but can we give some respect for the guys?
University actually did a study in which the conclusion was 68% of fathers said during the pandemic, I got closer to my children.
Sorry.
And I don't want to lose that. I want to have some kind of a maybe hybrid setup at work, some kind of an arrangement. And even leaving, work a few days early. I had a graduate student, a man who just left work a few days early to coach his son's soccer and basketball teams. His boss accused him of coasting, but he said it did not harm his career. And when his children grew up, they said, we want to be a dad like you, which is a lot better than any workplace accolades. So I do.
Family, work. That will be always in every single category that you need to prioritize it. Again, family, work.
I do look at some ways in which fathers can maybe make room, even in our industrial age. And I quote CEOs too, who say it works. You've got to persuade business and corporations as well that this is going to work. I quote one CEO who said, before the pandemic, of course, we were afraid to try remote work. because we thought we would lose productivity. You know, they would slough off. They wouldn't work. He said, and this is a direct quote, he said, the pandemic,
which still is true. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, or maybe you are a remote worker. I mostly do of my job remotely, and to be fair, even in my studies, I spotted that I'm more productive on board. Like I am doing the work, but I simply imagine if there was actually like during, if I can compare my studies, I can see that. With my job, I can also sometimes go into a into the university library. I don't know why, but it kind of makes you understand, okay, you're here, you're in the place to do the work. Home, still a mix. There's still a lot of distractions, which are good distractions, but not those that you really want to have while you're working.
pandemic has completely exploded that fear. We did not see any drop in productivity. You know, in fact, if anything, when they don't have to spend time getting dressed and sitting in traffic, we get more work out of them when they're working from home.
I think if that was true, all businesses would just shut down after the pandemic started, and would just reopen when people said that it's okay to go out back. Because if everything only improves and not gets worse, well, why then pay, for example, for transport? Why then pay for renting the offices? It's too weird that she's saying this, which I think may work in some cases. Maybe there are some specific companies where they saw it and they thought, huh, our projects actually get done faster if we let the guys drink their own coffee and not spend 20-30 minutes for a coffee break here. But again, if that was the case for the majority, people wouldn't reopen everything that fast.
And not being interrupted by constant meetings and so on. And so I think that, take the book into your boss and show, hey, look, this actually, even the CEOs are saying, yes, this does work. That, as one CEO put it, if you give parents time to be good parents, like not staying late,
I think the productivity still depends on whether you actually want to get some work done or not. Because you can have the most hardworking man in the world and he won't care. You give him work in the office, he will work more in the office. You will give him work in a remote job, he will be doing it. He will be like working all the time. I think it actually matters when you come to people who just do the job to get some QPI and then leave home. So for them, and they are actually a majority of people, it is better to stay in an office, because then at least they get full concentration on the job. They're not paid some hourly rate to do it. No, they are like, okay, they still get paid an hourly rate, but they are at least concentrated on the job. So there's no family members screaming from another room. There's no like need to take out the trash specifically at that moment. And since that is the case for a majority of people who do their job, believe me, there are a lot of people who really hate their job, but I mean, they just get the salary and then wait till the hours tick. Yeah, for them, it's more important to go in the office. So probably the companies that she's talking about are full of individuals who are actually in for the work, who are inspired by it and really care for it first, rather than the salary.
not working till midnight, not coming in on the weekends, but prioritizing their family. If you give them time to be better parents, they are in fact better workers. This was a CEO who is. She wrote an article that was the most widely read article in the whole history of the Atlantic magazine.
We're gonna be checking her. I'm gonna show you how real investigation is done. Atlantic magazine most read article ever. Read stories of 2022, the most popular stories, not of the day, in history. In history. Wait. I want to show you live how these investigations are done. Should we use ChatGPT? Okay, maybe The Atlantic, they have it here. Do you have format, ownership, praise, restriction, list of editors? See also. Okay, give me a sec then. Give me a sec. I'm gonna log into ChatGPT. I'm not gonna show you obviously my codes, but I'm gonna be logging into it now. Just give me 1 second. That's so good. I remember my password. So, ChatGPT. Who has written the most popular article ever on The Atlantic? Meanwhile, I'll skip the advertisement because there was one. Okay. However, has published. Oh my god. Should I keep going on this or? Okay, whoever finds that CEO, please leave me it in the comments. I want to do it fast, but we're actually in here for the video, so I'm not gonna bother for it for long. But if you do find, please write her down.
And her argument was, if you have family responsibilities, I expect you to take care of them because I know you will ultimately do better at work when your family is thriving.
That's true.
So it's a win-win for both sides.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because I can understand the fear that employers would have with, if you let people work from home, are they going to slack off? And I think one thing that the pandemic definitely showed us is that that's not the case at all. And often people work better when they
Well, often, again, as she just
work from home. I remember,
again, as she just said, as I just said, actually, if a worker is actually in for the job, if he enjoys doing the job, and he will not care if he's remote or if he's at the office. Moreover, he probably might feel easier remote because again, he has more time to dedicate to the actual work. But if they're in only for the paycheck, trust me, you want them on board. That's why a lot of students can handle remote. That's why 3-year-old children can't handle school remote. Or a 3-year-old, sorry, like third graders, second graders. They don't like school. They just want to like go out. They want to chill with their friends, Why would they want school? That's why you need them on board. So again, it always depends what kind of worker you are.
by my last job, I was selling copies, as you guys probably know. There was a guy who I worked with, and he had to come a lot further than me to get to work. I lived very close to the office. It took me like 10 minutes to drive to work, and he had to come a long, long way. Soon as he could work from home, this guy, I can be quite competitive, so given it was a sales job, it was really humiliating. I was in the office one day, because I had no excuse really to work from home, but like if the trains were striking, he could work from home. And I think it was like a Friday or something, and he was working from home. And yeah, he booked 6 meetings in one day, which was like a lot and a real kick in the teeth for me.
Again, as she just mentioned, sales job. Sales job is really one of those where you actually want to like the job because you want to get them done. You work a lot of times on commission, so and mostly on say if you work in sales, Those are the type of people who want to earn money. So the more they do, the more they get. So there is a logical explanation why doing a remote job for him is better. He doesn't waste the time, going in traffic and squeezing amongst those people. No, he gets to do his shit like twice, 2 hours more each day. And now imagine if he works five. That's like 10 hours of extra. That's really an extra day for him. So obviously it's a win for him.
So it's like, yeah, you're kind of showing me up here, making me look bad. But, and I reckon that had a lot to do with the fact that he didn't have to, get up early. He's in the comfort of his own home. Also, another thing, when you're in an office, you can get quite distracted because there's other people around, there's colleagues around. Whereas this,
Yeah, but I mean, come on. Are you actually going to compare to home distractions when your mother asks you to take off the trash, when you need to go I don't know, do the dishes, when you need to help someone with some task, reset the Wi-Fi. I mean, I get what she's trying to say. I actually get it. But I think you always, if you've been on this channel a lot, if you've been on this channel for a long time, you might know that I say it often, but you always have to investigate every case specifically. In her scenario, sure. But again, we're talking about the majority. Why do you think everyone reopened? And yes, we saw some companies change from on-site to remote, but still not that much as, for example, she or that professor who was talking before are pointing out. The percentage is still way smaller.
if you're at home, if you're a fairly disciplined person, which most people I think are when it comes to their careers, you can actually focus on what you're doing. So it's no surprise that fathers became a lot closer to their children when they could work from home, because they're around the children, and obviously, you can have the kids coming in and out, and ultimately, like, if you're still a competent adult, the work's going to get done. And if anything, you're going to get it done to a higher standard and a lot quicker because you want to be with the children. Obviously, if you're a fairly good dad, the world needs.
Again, if you're a fairly good dad, if you're a responsible person, Christine, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I think you are living in a very positive world. The reality of today, the reality of nowadays is that most people are not at all disciplined. They are not. They need someone standing out there and telling them what to do. People are very well at following these instructions, but they have to be easy and they have to actually be pointed at them, because otherwise, I mean, if there's no pressure, it's like, even when you talk to someone, the pressure of talking to your boss online compared to on site, compared to face to face, it's way smaller. So why do you think an undisciplined person would care about online more than offline? Yeah, I still use my native language translations. Nobody says remote, on-site. It's online, offline, on and off. Simple.
Good dads. The world needs good dads. And yeah, we definitely need to change the narrative surrounding dads, because there are so many good men out there who can be really, really good dads. I was blessed to have one myself. Obviously, like everything, there's exceptions to every rule. There's some people who are terrible dads, but we definitely need people to know that that is not the majority.
Because exceptions only prove the rule, they don't disprove it.
When given the chance, and if they're competent and stable and healthy, most guys will be great fathers, and they need to be respected, not treated like doofuses. I thought that was a really interesting point that Nancy pointed out about how fathers are presented in modern day mainstream media and television, etc., etc. I think it's a really interesting point. And don't think by any means that that's a mistake. I definitely believe all of the media we
No,
consume is designed
unfortunately, it's
to
often
make
true.
us have certain presuppositions in order to shape the culture. And I've actually done a really deep dive into this topic. So if that is something that you're interested in, both how we have less and less dads in society, and also how the media shapes our culture, and how this design really goes so deep-seated in our society through everything that we consume, head over to playlists now and check out my series.
I mean, we also had a video on this. It was a Brad Cooper reaction. If you haven't checked, well, you're welcome to see it on my channel. Point of the reaction. As usually, there is a point of the reaction. Respect your dads, love your dads, and be disciplined. Be disciplined. I think this is actually the best way to solve any problem. If you're simply there every single day doing the tasks that you're supposed to do, you'll get the results. This was zynoVII7 reacting to Christine Gray Smith. Yeah, I've memorized her name. I don't know if we will be doing more reactions on her because, well, to be fair, it was kind of complicated. First, she listened to it, then she gave some of her thoughts, and it was hard for me to somehow react to her, basically. But we'll see. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this reaction. For those of you watching on the stream right now, we will be jumping to our second one of the day. But for those on you, but for those of you, watching it on YouTube, I will see you in my other reactions. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like the video if you did, and dislike it if you didn't. But then you have to drop in the comments why. I'm not gonna hold you back for longer. I'll see you soon.